Imagine finding yourself completely alone on a barren island, surrounded only by the haunting noises of the wild and the ceaseless roar of the ocean. For more than 4 years, one man endured this harrowing experience. This is the authentic and bone-chilling tale of a real-life castaway. His astounding survival against impossible odds will make you reconsider the true boundaries of human perseverance. Welcome back to Into the Deep, where we explore the most enigmatic and spine-tingling episodes from the annals of history. Today, we uncover the eerie and remarkable saga of how one man's isolated existence on a remote island gave rise to one of the most celebrated adventure stories ever told. Born in 1676 in the quaint Scottish hamlet of Lower Largo, Alexander Selkirk seemed fated for a life filled with danger and excitement. As a youth, his defiant nature frequently landed him in trouble, but it was his thirst for maritime adventure that led him to the voyage that would dramatically alter the course of his life. Selkirk embarked on his nautical career as a privateer in 1703. He enlisted on a voyage headed by the English corsair William Dampier, departing from Ireland. With official permissions known as letters of marque, their goal was to capture enemy vessels during the War of the Spanish Succession. Dampier captained the St. George, while Selkirk served on the cinque ports under Captain Thomas Stradling. After navigating the perilous waters of Cape Horn, the expedition faced a fierce naval clash with a French vessel that managed to evade them and warn Spanish forces. Following a disastrous raid in Panama, the crew briefly celebrated after seizing a richly stocked merchant ship. Selkirk was entrusted with command of this captured prize, but Dampier soon relinquished it, taking only essential supplies like wine, flour, sugar, and brandy. By May 1704, Captain Stradling and the cinque ports separated from Dampier's fleet, setting the wheels of Selkirk's destiny in motion. In September that year, the ship docked at the uninhabited island of Mizatira in the Juan Fendes archipelago to gather fresh water. During their voyage, Selkirk had grown increasingly alarmed by the ship's deteriorating condition, often arguing with Captain Stradling over its safety. Fearing disaster if they continued, Selkirk made a dramatic choice. He insisted he would rather remain on the island than sail any farther with the damaged vessel. He had no idea that this bold stance would result in his abandonment. Stradling, seeking to assert his authority, obliged, leaving Selkirk behind. Realizing the gravity of his decision too late, Selkirk begged to be taken back, but Stradling refused, using his exile as a warning to others. Watching the cinque ports disappear into the distance, Selkirk was overwhelmed by the crushing realization that he was completely alone. Isolated hundreds of miles from civilization, he was left with minimal supplies: a musket, a worn axe, a pot for cooking, a knife, a few carpenter's tools, his Bible, and some clothes and bedding. The island was wild and unfamiliar, filled with unsettling sounds that echoed through the night. Selkirk's early days were ruled by fear and uncertainty. He swiftly realized that survival meant adapting. He took shelter in a cave by the shore and foraged for anything edible. Overcome by sorrow, solitude, and despair, he often gazed out to sea, later confessing that thoughts of ending his life crossed his mind many times. However, an unexpected turn forced him to act. During mating season, large sea lions swarmed the coast, cutting him off from food and driving him inland. Though this was initially distressing, it led him to discover a fertile inland valley brimming with cabbage palms, wild turnips, and native fruits, which became central to his diet. He encountered wild goats, descendants of livestock left by previous sailors. Initially, he hunted them, but after exhausting his gunpowder, he resorted to chasing and trapping them, eventually taming a few for milk and meat. On one such pursuit, Selkirk suffered a serious fall from a cliff. For days, he lay injured, his life saved only by the goat he had been chasing, which cushioned his fall. Yet the island posed other threats. Colonies of oversized rats gnawed at his extremities as he slept, risking serious infection. Luckily, the island's wildcats became unlikely allies. Selkirk tamed several, and they guarded him at night, forming a bizarre yet comforting bond. Weeks turned to months, and months into years. Selkirk adapted to his solitary life. Though no rescue appeared, he refused to surrender hope, vigilantly scanning the sea from a lookout he'd built, ready with signal fires. By October 1704, he had relocated inland near a stream. Using his few tools, he built huts from pimento wood, thatching them with grass. Goat skins kept him warm. He boiled meat, crafted fires from native wood, and lived on seafood, herbs, and wild vegetables. His Bible became his closest companion, preserving both his speech and sanity through daily readings. One day, while performing his chores, 2 ships appeared offshore. Overcome with hope, he rushed to the beach, only to discover they were Spanish. Knowing capture could mean torture or enslavement, he fled to the jungle. Spanish sailors landed and spotted him. They fired shots, but Selkirk, now agile from his survival training, climbed a dense tree and remained hidden, even when some of the men urinated beneath it. They eventually left, unaware he was mere feet above them. As the years dragged on, his tools dulled and clothes decayed. When his knife broke, he fashioned replacements from an iron barrel hoop. He wore crude garments made from goat hides and ran barefoot, his soles hardened by the island's volcanic rock. His long, unkempt beard gave him a wild, animalistic appearance. Despite becoming self-sufficient, Selkirk never stopped hoping for deliverance. Little did he know, his fortunes were about to change. William Dampier, unaware he had indirectly marooned Selkirk, was now leading a fresh expedition to raid South American ports. His new ships, the Duke and the Duchess, set out from England on September 1, 1709. By late January 1710, they approached Mizatira. After years of avoiding detection by the Spanish, Selkirk had grown cautious. From his lookout, he spotted 2 ships whose rigging suggested they were English. His heart raced. On February 1, 1710, he lit a signal fire and ran to the shore, waving wildly. A boat was dispatched to investigate. Thomas Dover led the landing party and was stunned to find Selkirk, alive and speechless with emotion. Captain Woodes Rogers jokingly dubbed him the governor of the island. Selkirk, now strong and energetic, caught goats daily, helping to nourish the crew suffering from scurvy. Rogers was amazed by Selkirk's robust health and calm demeanor, remarking that solitude was perhaps not as unbearable as many believed, particularly for those thrust into it, as Selkirk had been. Impressed by his resilience, Rogers made Selkirk second mate aboard the Duke. Back at sea, Selkirk's zest for privateering was reignited. In what is now Ecuador, he led a daring river raid, seizing jewels from fleeing Spanish aristocrats. He continued raiding along the Mexican coast and helped capture a valuable prize ship. Later, he served as sailing master under Captain Dover, eventually completing a full circumnavigation of the globe. On October 1, 1711, after 8 years, Selkirk finally returned to England. His remarkable tale of survival captivated the nation. He came back a transformed man. His harrowing experience and unwavering spirit would inspire Daniel Defoe's literary masterpiece, Robinson Crusoe. Alexander Selkirk's story is a shining example of the human soul's ability to endure and evolve. It reminds us of the immense inner strength we possess, even when faced with unimaginable hardship. In 1966, Chile honored his legacy by renaming Ms. Afuera as Alejandro Selkirk Island, a lasting tribute to a man whose extraordinary survival continues to inspire and fascinate. Thank you for joining us on this incredible historical voyage. If this tale intrigued you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling stories from the past. Until next time, stay safe.